So this week, this note like that we started last week, I want to say Wednesday, I think, when we talked about alternating period, alternate period, and I said there were going to be 4 rules altogether. Right, those were 2. So today we're going to look at the other 2. The first one we're going to call corresponding angle. Okay. No, it was parallel line to the conversion.
You started doing it just all the same way.
It's all the same one.
Oh,
So all the same one. It was parallel line to the conversion. Alright, so corresponding angles, the angles that occupy the same relative position at each intersection where a straight line crosses 2 of them. The angles that occupy the same relative position at each intersection where a straight line crosses 2 of them. If the 2 lines are parallel, the corresponding angles are equal. Corresponding angles are the angles that occupy the same relative position at each intersection where a straight line crosses 2 of them. If the 2 lines are parallel, the corresponding angles are equal. If you guys copy the mumbo jumbo and I'll explain. Let me put a couple examples in, for corresponding. That way we can see what they are, and then I'll use them to explain. Alright, I have 4 examples here for corresponding. You don't have to copy if you guys don't want to. But on each, let me come over and say what we mean with the same relative position. Let me look at my angles with Z's here at the bottom left. Let's say I was to cut out one corner. Right? It was a piece of paper. I could just come over and cut it and overlap it with the other corner. Remember, cut one and overlap it with the other corner. These 2 angles is the exact same position. That's what we mean with the same relative position. So once again, if I cut out one corner and overlap it on top of the other, I'm talking about the same angle. Okay, so that's what it means. If the 2 lines are parallel, the corresponding angles are equal. Right? If the angles are not parallel, then they will not be equal. Easy way to also see this is that they're in the same side of the transversal. One of them is interior, remember between the lines. One of them is interior, the other one is exterior, but they're not adjacent. And adjacent, remember, means next. They're not, these angles are not next to each other, so they're not adjacent. One of them is interior, the other one is exterior, on the same side of the transversal. So that's what we call corresponding. Once again, if the lines are parallel, those 2 angles are equal. Can I change this? Yeah. Go ahead. Alright, the other rule we're going to learn is what we call same side interior angles. I hope the name kind of says it all. Same side interior angles are the 2 angles that are on the same side of the transversal and on the interior of the 2 lines. Same side interior angles are supplementary. Give you guys time to copy that. same side interior angles are two angles that are on the same side of the transversal and on the interior of the two lines. Interior means in between the two lines. Same side interior angles are supplementary. Supplementary means they add up to 180. They're not necessarily equal. The two angles add up to 180. Right? That's what supplementary means. Let me show you guys a few examples of what I mean. Let's say lines A and B are parallel, but I identify them as the same marking, same arrows. My transversal line T, angles 4 and 5, those two are same side interior. Right? That's an example. Angles 4 and 5 together. Another example will be angles 3 and 6. Right? They're same side interior. Like the name says it all. Let me take a look at 4 and 5. The name says it all. They're on the same side of the transversal. Right? Both of them are on the right side of the transversal, and both of them are interior, which means in between the lines. Right? So the name pretty much said it all. Same side of the transversal, and both of them interior. If you notice, I know L shape is 90. I can tell angle 5, I don't know the measurement, but I can tell angle 5 is less than 90. Right? I don't know how big is it, but I know it's less. And I can tell angle 4 is more than 90. So I know angle 4 and 5 are not equal to each other. The rule says same side interior angles are supplementary. Once again, they add up to 180. If angle 4 was 100, angle 5 would be 80. And 100 plus 80 is 180. Correct. Any questions on those? All right, let's take a look at our worksheet. The front side, the first 8 questions. Find the measure of each angle indicated. For right now, let me call it X. I don't know the number of it, so let me call it X. I can tell these are same side interior, so I'm just going to come and say X plus 119 equals 180. Right? These two angles are same side interior. So I know they add up to 180. If X plus 119 equals 180, what's X? 61. So X equals 61 degrees. For those of you that are wondering where did the 61 come from, the 119, we moved it to the other side as a minus 119. Right? We switched the sign. 180 minus 119 is 61. Because the 180, I got it because they're same side interior. On same side interior, they add up to 180.
So basically you cannot tell them.
As long as they're same side interior.
But like these are?
For today, we're going to have corresponding or same side interior. We'll have a mixture of both. For corresponding, they equal to each other. Same side interior, they add up to 180. Let me take a look at an example of corresponding. And question number 4. Let me call it X for right now. Right, that angle, let me call it X. And I'm going to say X equals 133 degrees. Right, those two angles are corresponding, and I know corresponding they're equal to each other, as long as the lines are parallel. And I know they're parallel because of the arrows at the left. Right, so I know they're parallel. Once again, today you guys have corresponding, which they're equal to each other, or same side interior, which they add up to 180. Right, any questions on the first 8? Number 2. Number 2 is the same side interior. Let me call it X for right now. So I know that X plus 60 is equal to 180. Right?
So you're going to do all of them like that?
As long as they're same side interior, add them and equals to 180. Yes. If they were corresponding, I would say they equal each other. So if X plus 60 equals 180, what's X? 120. All we did was subtract 60, that gave us 120. Any other questions for the first? let's take a look at question number 9. Solve for x. That little box in number 9 that represents 90 degrees. So even though it's not a number, it does represent a number, right? The little box represents 90. I know that those two angles are corresponding, so I'm going to say 95 plus x is equal to 90. Right? I know those two are equal to each other. If 95 plus x equals 90, what's x? Negative 5. In slow motion, we move the 95 to the right, change the sign, y(x) equals negative 5. Alright, so that was corresponding. Let me look for a same side interior. Number 13, thank you. So we're going to come and say 15x plus 60 equals 180. Right? We're not going to say 15x equals 60 because it's the same side interior. So we add them and equals 180. Alright, so my 60, let me move it to the right as a negative 60. So I have the 15x equals, how much is 180 minus 60? 120? Well, that might, this thing just froze for a minute. Technical difficulty. Okay, there we go. Not quite there yet. Alright, well, we can continue with that, right? So 15x equals 120, right? We have 15x equals 120. How big is x? 8. I divide both sides by 15, x equals 8.
Wait,
Yes.
but like, why are you doing them different if they're both the same? Shouldn't it be like a parallel one when you do it?
Well, the lines are parallel, but the angles are same side interior. Remember, when they're same side interior, they add up to 180. If they were corresponding, I would have equal each other. But when they're same
Because
side
like
interior,
number 9 has one, like the little triangle on the both lines, and so does number 13. It's just number 7.
but if you notice number 9, the angles are corresponding. Like if you were to cut out one corner and overlap it on the other, it's the same angle, right? If I was to cut this corner, let's say I was to cut the one with 60 and overlap them, 60 is not 13, it's not 15x. So this is same side interior. Remember, for same side interior, when you add them, equals to 180. I know we might get a little confused, but let's take a look at number 14 if you guys would. Pick up 14. Are those corresponding or same side interior? Same side interior. What was it?
Is there a middle ring?
Yeah, because they're the same side of the transversal. Right? Same side and both interiors. So that's where the name same side interior comes. Alright, so do I go 10x plus 5 equals 95?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah.
Does same side interior do that? No. Alright, so don't do that. What I will do instead, because it's the same side interior, I will add everything. So 10x plus 5 plus 95 equals 180. Remember, for same side interior, you add them and equals 180. Let me simplify the left a little. Let me call this 10x plus 100, right? 5 plus 95, right? So 10x plus 100 equals 180, right? I just simplified it a little. My 100, let me move it to the right side. That's a negative 100. So I get that 10x equals what? 80. So that means x equals 8. Like I said, don't get confused. Corresponding, they're equal to each other. Same side interiors are supplementary, which means they add up to 180. Does that make more sense? No?
80 degrees or just 8?
It's just 8. Yeah. It is a value of x. Alright. Go ahead, ladies, go ahead. Makes more sense now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the reason I actually allow, if you guys talk, I allow it. One time, I don't know if I told you guys the story. There was one student, student would not understand it either, like right now. And then I tried and I tried. And another student said, like actually from the other side of the room, the other student said, can I give it a shot? Teach the student? I go ahead and give it a shot. What the other the other student said was, you add the thing with the other thing and you multiply it with the other thing. I don't know what that means, but the other student understood. So I believe that's student language. So I allow student language because sometimes the thing and the other thing make sense. I have no idea what it means. Thing, you gotta 11. Okay. Before I move to 11, let me explain something real quick. Like corresponding are like this, right? Same side interior are like this. So that you guys can tell the difference. Alright, let's take a look at number 11. My question to you on this one is this same side interior or corresponding?
Corresponding.
Corresponding. So do they add up to 180 or do they equal each other? Equal each other? So let me just write 10x minus 5 equals 8x plus 15. What was that again?
Oh, that was alright.
Alright, so my 8x on the right side, let me move it to the left as a negative 8x. My negative 5 on the left, let me move it as a positive 5 on the right. Let me simplify each side. How much is 10x minus 8x?
2x.
So 2x. On the right side, how much is 15 plus 5?
20.
20. So 2x equals 20, what's x?
10.
That's it. I know I saw the equations a little bit different than your algebra teacher, but I hope this is easier. Alright, any questions up until 16? 12? Do this equal each other or do they add up to 180?
They equal each other.
Equal each other. So let's just write 11x minus 7 equals 10x. So 11x minus 7 equals 10x. My 10x, let me move it to the left as a negative 10x. My negative 7, let me move it to the right as a positive 7. So what's the value of x? 7. Right, so 11x minus 10x is 1x. And then 7 by itself. Alright, now let me move into question number 17. Let's find the measure of the angle indicated above. The darkest one, in this case, is 6x minus 2. That's the dark one. So we need to find out how big is that angle. But first, let's solve for x. The way I'm going to solve for x, I'm going to say 6x minus 2 equals 4x plus 22. So on the left side, my 4x, let me move it as my 4x as a negative on the left. My negative 2, let me move it as a positive 2. So I get that 2x equals 24. How big is x? X equals 12. And we're not quite done yet. Plug it into your formula. 6 times x minus 2. So 6 times 12 minus 2. What do you guys get? 7. So this one we do have the degrees, right? This one we're talking about the angle. So 70 degrees.
Wait, that's
Which one? 23. Alright, let's take a look at number 23. Do this equal each other or do they add up to 180? Up to 180. So we have x plus 77 plus 117 plus x equals 180. Right? You're adding the two angles and equals to 180. Let me simplify the left a little. Okay, there's too many things. I know x plus x is 2x. I see a lot of people do x squared. That will be times. And this is 2x. 77 plus 117 is 194. So I have 2x plus 194 equals 180. My 194, let me move it to the right as a negative 194. 2x equals what? Negative 14, so x equals negative 7. Okay, so we're not quite done yet. The darkest one is 117 plus x. But x equals negative 7. What's that angle? 110.
Does it matter what it is?
Doesn't matter which one plug it in.
Yeah, like if you put 117 plus x first.
Oh, like do we go x plus 77 plus the 117 plus x,
Yeah.
or do we switch it? It wouldn't matter. Because on the left side, in algebra 1 you learn commutative property that order did not matter. So
I don't get how you got 110.
we know the value of x is negative 7. So once we plug in here, how much is 117 plus a negative 7? Kind of like saying 117 minus 7. 110. The dark one only. I don't know if you guys can see. I know that sometimes it's a little hard to see the ball, the darker one, but all right. Any questions up until 24? All right. For number 25, let's find the values of x that makes lines U and V parallel. If you notice, U and V, they don't have arrows this side, so we cannot say they are parallel. The question is here is, what will be the value of x that will make them parallel? In order for them to be parallel, the corresponding angles equal each other. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to say 13x minus 8 is equal to 122. Right, they're corresponding angles, and then solve for x. My negative 8, move it to the other side as a plus 8. 13x is equal to 130. So that means x is equal to 10. You guys might come and say, well, isn't this the same thing we did in questions 9 through 16? Pretty much. It's just number 9 through 16. I told you guys the lines are parallel, so you let them equal each other. Now here I'm asking you, what would they be if the lines were parallel? So see, the same question. I'm just writing it differently so you guys get to understand it. Remember in angles, when we had the table here on the board, I gave you guys 90 counterclockwise, but then 270 clockwise, it was the same thing. Like I gave it to you guys in different way of writing, but it's the same part. Any questions for the work? Remember, today we're only dealing with corresponding and same side interior. Tomorrow, I will include the two from last week, so all four. So tomorrow we're going to start looking into all of them combined. Don't forget that this Friday we have 8 tests, and also it's the last day of the quarter. It's not the test for the quarter, it's a test for this unit. But it's the last day of